you, Sarah. You're all very welcome. Good afternoon. My name is Peter and I work here in CORU. So what is CORU? CORU is Ireland's multi-profession health and social care regulator. CORU protects the public by promoting high standards of professional conduct, education and training among the registered health and social care professionals working in Ireland. If you belong to one of the professions registered by CORU and wish to work in Ireland, you must first register with us. What are the professions regulated by CORU? Today, there are over 32,000 health and social care professionals registered with CORU. These include optometrists or dispensing opticians, medical scientists, occupational therapists, dietitians, physiotherapists, podiatrists, radiographers or radiation therapists, social workers, social care workers, and speech and language therapists. Are commonly aligned standards. The standards of proficiency in Ireland, which are the threshold standards for entry to a profession, are closely aligned with the UK standards of proficiency for the following professions: dietitians, optometrists and dispensing opticians, occupational therapists, podiatrists, physiotherapists, radiographers and radiation therapists, and social workers. For commonly aligned standard applicants, registration with CORU is a two-step process. Step 1 is apply for recognition and submit the recognition documents. Step 2 is complete the registration process. Applying online. To apply for recognition of your international qualification, go to coru.ie Health and Social Care Professionals, apply for recognition of international qualifications, and create an account. You will then receive an email to activate your account. Follow the steps in the online portal to complete your application. And if you have any difficulties, queries, or questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. Certify copies of supporting documentation. Certain documents must be certified copies. This basically means that a certifier must view the original document and then sign and date a copy of the original. The certified copy is then submitted to us here in CORU. CORU accepts certification by practicing solicitors, commissioners for oaths, peace commissioners, and notary publics. Step 1, recognition of your qualification. First, you will apply online, complete information on your qualification and eligibility. You will then upload your qualification certificate and proof of ID, which must be certified, and then you will complete registration part of online application. Step 2 is complete the registration process. First, you will upload supporting documents, which include the statutory declaration, which must be certified, proof of address dated within the last 6 months, a photo, completed e-vetting form, and police clearance for each country you have lived in, or a sworn declaration, which must be certified. You will then pay the fee of €510 and finally complete your e-vetting form. If all steps have been satisfied, you will then be entered onto CORU's register. Let's look at the do's and don'ts, getting it right the first time. Let's start with the do's. Number 1, make sure every required document is provided. Call CORU if you need advice. Number 2, ensure your documents are certified correctly. The guidance notes detail the exact requirements. Our guidance notes can be found on our website. And again, I will stress the importance of having each document certified correctly. 3, provide all addresses from birth on your Garda vetting address form. And 4, check your documentation for any name variation and provide explanation if necessary. Now let's look at the don'ts. Number 1, submit an incomplete application. This will cause delay in your registration. Again, if you have any queries or doubts, call us. 2, make your application without reading the guidance notes. Again, they are available on our website. 3, forget to disclose traffic fines or other offences. These will show on the e-vetting results. And number 4, hope for the best. Please do not hope for the best. As stated before, any queries, questions, please contact us at any time and we will be happy to help. I'd like to thank you for your time and concentration, and I hope you found the information helpful. Again, I'll repeat, any queries or questions, please email CORU at registration@coru.ie. Thank you. I will now hand you over to Connor in the HSE. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I'd like to invite my colleague, Barbara Whiston, to discuss the recruitment journey.
Thanks so much, Connor, and everyone who's attending the webinar today. You're very welcome and thanks for attending. I'm going to talk to you about applying for and getting a job. And I'm going to give you some top tips along the way to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. So the recruitment journey with the HSE, what is that like? So we're looking at job search first, and that's how to find a job and where the jobs might be as well within our public health services. We're then going to talk to you about how to apply for a job, what we'll do when we get in your application, how we select people for jobs with us, what happens when you get a job offer or what happens when you're selected for a job with us, and then what kind of clearance, paperwork, follow up you can expect before you can start in a job with us. So the main question really that people have in the first instance is how to apply or how do I find out about what jobs are available in the publicly funded health system in Ireland. So there's two ways that you can find a job with us. The first way is just to go onto our main HSE website and you'll see the jobs page there. You can then apply to us directly via that by submitting an application form for a particular role that you'll see advertised. Some of those application forms will be entirely online and some will be a kind of a combination of some online and Microsoft Word as well. Then you can also go onto the HSE Career Hub to register for weekly job notifications. So that would really be my top tip about how to get a job with us. Please do go onto that HSE Career Hub. You just need to give us some information there about the kind of jobs you're interested in. And what we will do then is every week you'll get an email with an update on any jobs that have been posted during that week that match what you tell us that you're interested in and the kinds of jobs that you want to get with us. So where might the jobs be available? There will be jobs available throughout 2025 and beyond in any of these public health and social care services. So you can see here we've got our six different HSE regions that are colour coded there. There's also, in addition to that, jobs that are available in our voluntary hospitals. So those are large acute hospitals or specialist hospitals. A lot of them are in Dublin, but there's also ones outside Dublin. For example, in Cork, you've got the Mercy South Infirmary. In Limerick, you have St. John's, etc. Then we have our jobs in our Children's Disability Network teams and in our disability services as well. You'll find out more about that on Career Hub. And on Career Hub as well, there's a special focus on Children's Disability Network teams and jobs in disability. So you'll be able to see a list of some of the job postings there on Career Hub for those, as well as on the main HSE website. And then there's also a list there of voluntary providers that also are within the health and social care services, and they will also advertise jobs for health and social care professionals. So then looking at making your application for a job with us. Nearly all of our jobs require that you will complete an application form because we don't accept CVs, and you will be asked to complete quite an amount of details on your application form. So there'll be a number of questions. Some of these are very basic, your contact details. Then we'll also need to know, are you eligible to take up a job with us? And we may also ask you some additional kind of specialist questions or competency-based questions. So what I would say to you about those questions is that they're really good practice then once you're answering questions like that as part of your application for your interview, if you're called for an interview with us. So when you're looking then at these questions on the application form, my top tip really would be to have a think about what you learned as part of your clinical placement and try and answer the questions maybe with that in mind. Where there are these competency questions or skill questions on the application forms, we might use those to sift or shortlist the applications. So I would just say to you, please do make sure that you complete every single question on the application form. There's guidance for you as well on how to do this in the documentation that will be attached to the job advert that you'll be applying for. There'll also be competencies that may be detailed in the job specification. So again, we would ask you to read those very carefully, and reading those will let you know really what we're looking for. Some of those competencies may be behavioural, for example, how you worked in a team or how you are committed to a quality healthcare service. And others might be technical competencies, like, for example, what specific experience you might have or what specific professional knowledge you might be able to show us. But in all cases, make sure when you are describing these skills or qualities, think about you and think about how you have demonstrated that skill or quality or knowledge or whatever it is we're asking for on the form. So then looking at qualifications and registration, you do need to be registered with CORU in order to practice in the Republic of Ireland. So what we need to know really when you're applying for a job with us is your registration status with CORU. So that really will be when you're applying for a job, please provide us with as much detail as possible on this as part of your application. And just a reminder that it's your responsibility to provide us with that proof of registration. When you're looking at equivalent qualifications, then we've had some detail already on that from CORU. And again, it's really just to emphasize that you do need to give us as much information as possible so that we can bring you through to the next stage of the selection process. So the next stage of the selection process after you have made your application and we've done our shortlisting and eligibility sifting is the interview. So I'm going to tell you what it's like coming for an interview with us in the HSE. So what we do is we look at each applicant basically in the same way. So we're looking at each applicant's professional knowledge and experience and also the same competency areas for each applicant that is coming through our interview system. We use structured interviews and just to let you know that there's usually 3 people on the interview board and one of these will be a representative from your own discipline. The interview questions will in the main come from the content of the job specification and also there'll be some of the competency areas will be probed as well and they'll be outlined on the job specification as well. So it's really important that you have to think about the interview and when you're preparing for it, think of your own knowledge and experience and compare that with what you've read in the job specification as what is outlined for the role. And then you'll really have a good idea about what we're looking for from you when you've come for a job interview with us. Just to let you know, some of our interviews are in person and some are online. If you're going to be interviewed online, the most common platforms that we use are Microsoft Teams, which you're obviously familiar with if you've logged onto this webinar today. And we also do use WebEx sometimes for some job interviews. So just to make sure you do access those in advance so that you're familiar with them, and particularly WebEx because that mightn't be a platform that as many people are familiar with. And make sure you have access to a suitable device, like we would recommend a laptop or something like that. Or a PC if that's at all possible. Be in a location that's quiet, that's calm, where you're not going to be interrupted and where you have a good internet connection and have some kind of a working camera as well or webcam. Then when it comes to a category of questions that we would call professional knowledge questions, what these are questions on your professional knowledge as is relevant to the role that you're coming for an interview for. So these will be detailed in the job specification. So the way to prepare for these professional knowledge questions is read that specification, do some reading about the HSE and the hiring service. The Career Hub will have some information as well on that. And you'll be able to get further information as well. And think about then how your skills compare to this role. Have a look at the job advert as well for the job you're applying for. They may talk about informal inquiries in that, and that is somebody that you can contact for more details about the actual role, and candidates do find that really useful. So then looking at the kind of questions that we'll be asking, they'll be clear and concise. They won't be HSE specific, so you don't need to have worked in the HSE before to have answered the questions. They're going to be reliable and they're going to be challenging, but not overly challenging because they have to be relevant to the role that you're going for and fit a good fit for that. And then we're going to be looking at measuring your technical skills and professional knowledge as well as competencies. So then when we're looking at competencies, I would just say, remember back to your application form where you may have filled in some competency questions and the competencies will be outlined in the job spec as well. So do give us some specific examples. We really want to know about what you actually did. Give a good range of examples then as well, and be concrete rather than theoretical. Talk about what you actually did rather than say what you would do or something like that. And then some of our like common areas for competencies are: how do you work in a team? What are your communication skills? How do you plan and manage? And how do you deliver a quality service? So just think have some examples in advance of the interview, because that will make it easier for you. And again, there'll be more assistance for that in the documents that you'll be given as part of when you're applying for the job. So then if you are successful or unsuccessful after an interview, you'll get a results letter. Where you're successful, you will likely be placed on a panel. So all a panel is a list of people that have been successful at the interview. So people who've passed the interview will be placed on a panel. So then what will happen is you will be contacted by us when vacancies arise. The first place candidate who scored the best will be offered the first vacancy as it comes up. It's an order of merit system. And then we will use that panel then to fill kind of other vacancies. And typically panels are going to be live for a year, but they can be extended beyond that as well. So then if you're successful at the interview, you go on a panel. What happens then? Well, when you say yes, you want to take a job with us, then you'll need to go through a number of checks at that point. So these are kind of pre-employment checks. So there's a couple of different checks there. And there's pre-placement health assessment, which also could be known as like occupational health screening. There'll be some kind of Garda vetting or police clearance as well. Reference checks, we need to make sure that you're eligible to work in Ireland. So once those are in place, then we go into the contracting section of the process, where we're going to need some ID from you, statutory declarations. At that point, we'll need evidence of your registration with CORU, and there can be a number of other items as well that we look for at that stage, just to make sure we have a full suite of clearances in place, and so that we can issue your contract. So then just a note on pay. So what are we going to pay you if you take up a role with us? So our pay scales are available on the HSE website, and it'll always be the current pay scales there. If you're a new appointee, you'll start at the minimum point of the scale. So you'll see that there'll be a number of points on the health and social care professional scales that are there available on the website. And then you progress 1 point on those pay scales each year. Most of the HSE will pay you a salary every fortnight, and your pay details, and that'll include your exact the exact amount to be paid per annum, and that will be included then in your contract of employment. You will also get details of your pension in that, and you'll also get details of your annual leave entitlement for each year. So that's really it in terms of applying for and hopefully being successful in getting a job with us. I've told you about searching for a job, making a job application, the selection process that will apply, job offer with us, and then getting your contract and what those details would look like.
Processes. Thank you again, and over to you, Peter.